This episode is brought to you by FX's Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's new series, Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, and go behind the scenes with cast and special guests, featuring Sarah Pigeon, Paul Anthony Kelly, Grace Gummer, and Naomi Watts. FX's Love Story, John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to I Want That Too, the podcast where Disney merch meets Disney history. I'm entertainment writer Jim Hill, and as always, I'm joined by the lovely Lauren Hersey on Friday the 13th in February 2026. So how's your day been going so far, Lauren?
Listen, I was thinking about love and hearts and all of the gushy stuff until you're like, and it's Friday the 13th, da, da, da.
Well, all right, then we'll throw it in another direction here. It's February. It's still cold out, which, by the way, appropriate because we're about to talk about Frozen. In particular, how Frozen 3 is slotted to come out November of 2027, and Disney's evidently already started the promo merch train for this film. I wonder if you saw the story this morning.
Did not see the story this morning. Like, please tell me we're getting more Frozen sooner than 2027, because I don't think I can wait.
Interesting that you say that, because in an article in License Global magazine this morning, it was mentioned that a brand new Frozen short is coming this October, and that'll be part of this year's Frozen Fan Fest, which I didn't know was a thing, but evidently it's a thing. Evidently Disney's done these for a couple of years. And as part of this article, they talked about how Disney's been changing up its approach to promoting Frozen. And Lauren, that comes on the back of the fact that, the young women who watched the original Frozen when it came out in theaters in 2013 are now young adults. Likewise, the kids who watched Frozen 2 in 2019, they're now tweens, which is why Disney evidently is leaning more into adult material this time around. I mean, like arranging merch, Frozen merch with Pandora. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, we've talked about that before, and it makes perfect sense. And I mean, especially with a lot of the live action stuff that's coming out and the collaborations on the IP, like, they were little girls when they watched it originally, and now they have different tastes. They're not buying Barbies anymore. They're buying diamonds or, cubic zirconia, if we're talking Pandora.
And what's also interesting here is that they sort of make a connection between, in fact, I want to say they debuted the upgrade of Frozen Ever After at Epcot this week. Did you see this with the new animatronics with the full faces?
Ooh, yeah, I'm so excited about that. I mean, it was advanced for like at the time, but like those weird dark necks always really bothered me. So 2026, 2027 is our year as Frozen fans.
Oh, well, all right, but we have lots more to discuss news-wise on this week's I Want That Too. But before we do that, we, of course, have to acknowledge our sponsors. And in this case, this episode of I Want That Too is brought to you by our friends at unlockmagic.com, the go-to place for some of the best deals on theme park tickets. If a Disney or Universal trip is anywhere on your radar in 2026, Unlock Magic helps you lock in great ticket prices without the stress, all handled by people who really know the parks and, more importantly, how to save you money. So if you're starting to think, okay, maybe this is the year we finally go, head on over to unlockmagic.com to grab the best ticket deals and make that future trip just a little more magical. All right. So, Lauren, what did you find as you were looking around the interwebs this week in regard to merch-related news?
All right, Jim. So first up, you had mentioned that it is the day before Valentine's Day. And, a lot of the men in our lives, they want to get their significant other some flowers. But our first piece of news are some flowers that Disney fans would actually maybe like more. So I saw this short form video first about balloons by the Disney store, and they are popping up on both sides of the Atlantic. The first one I saw was the Disney store in London, and it honestly their line it looks like a little bit, a spring, but essentially what these are, they're individual flower stems that have, looks like Disney, zoom faces. There's Stitch, there's Mickey, there's Winnie the Pooh. There's lots of different options, and they have them displayed so beautifully at the Disney store in London. It's in a little flower cart, and so I went down the rabbit hole first and foremost to say do we have to go across the ocean to get these adorable buds? And from what I can find, no, that they're not exclusive to London. London has more of a collection where they also have some, apparel, lifestyle, home goods tied to this specific line. But last week, we saw the plush flowers popping up in Disneyland. And over in downtown Disney, they had Mickey, Minnie, Stitch, Winnie the Pooh, Chip, and Dale, but they didn't have the cute cart. And I do think that these are available at the Disney store in Times Square. So I'm wondering, you tell me, Jim, do you remember when we talked about those build your own character headbands that first were in Shanghai and then became all the rage kind of here stateside? Do you think this is going to be one of those types of things?
Well, let's face it. Scarcity in that case equaled publicity. Just the notion of, people look at this cool thing that they're doing in Shanghai and how I wish this was here. And, got people talking about it. And then when it finally arrived, people were frantic to get them. So far, that's all we know. The three locations we've got Disney Store London, we've got the Disney Storyland boutique at Downtown Disney in Anaheim, and then the Disney Store in Times Square. Is that correct?
As far as I can tell, and I did see that they're going to be rolling them out on the disneystore.uk, I think this coming week. So my thought is, based on this initial push, if it catches fire, maybe we'll get them on the Disney Store website stateside. And typically, if we're seeing them in Disneyland and there's been some success, we'll start to see them at Disney Springs.
Okay.
But I really had trouble finding the information about these little flowers, and you would think because it's Valentine's Day, they're $14.99. Wouldn't it be perfect to get a bouquet of these for the Disney lover in your life?
One quick question. I know we're in the middle of the Festival of the Arts down at Walt Disney World. When does Flower and Garden get underway at Epcot? Because this would seem to be low-hanging fruit for Flower and Garden. Right? That's March, isn't it?
Yeah. Typically whenever spring break, let's see. Oh, look, it was just updated 4 hours ago, March 4th.
Well, there we go.
To June 1st. So maybe by March we'll see them.
Yeah, I would watch that space. It just seems like, that the fact that these are Disney blooms and Flower and Garden is looming over the horizon. That's too good a Venn diagram for the folks in Disney Consumer Products to miss. But let's see what happens now. And speaking of things that have a floral scent, sometimes have some Bath and Body Works related news. Is that correct?
Yes. So Bath and Body is going all in on the Princess collection again this year. So we talked all about the original Princess collection on I Want That Too. It was a massive, massive success. And then in the fall, we got a less significant, smaller villains rollout at Bath and Body Works with far less products than what we saw with the original Princess release. So it does not surprise me. This was about the same time last year that they were rolling this out. So today is February 13th, and that is the first official day to go on Bath and Body Works or go to your local store to see the full lineup. They did do a pre-sale yesterday for Bath and Body members, and I bought from the pre-sale last year, but this year it was really odd because they had, as far as the scents go, they only debuted their non-princess scent called Life's a Fairy Tale. That's really all you could buy, as well as, some of the, sanitizer holders and candle holders, I guess the accessories. But I did check before we got on today, and you can get the full lineup. But you're probably wondering, Jim, what are the smells? Like who are we getting this time, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, the last time around, didn't we? It was one of the things we got Jasmine with Jasmine. Hey, there's a surprise.
Yeah. Well, she's not returning. I don't think that. I don't think that one landed that well.
Okay. So who made the cut this time around?
All right. So we've got 4 new princesses represented. So we have Aurora, Mulan, Rapunzel, and Snow White, which is super odd. And then we have, like I said, the non-princess princess fragrance, which is Life's a Fairy Tale. And that one specifically is florals, like you said, fruit, wood, warm musks. And then I'm assuming that these 2 returning princesses were because they sold the most last year. So the returning princesses are Belle and Tiana, and their scents are going to be the same as last year. So original scents. So we're getting a lot in this collection. And if you were a big fan last year of the originals, which were Ariel, Cinderella, Jasmine, Moana, Belle, and Tiana, unfortunately, besides those 2, they are not a part of this year's 7 fragrance collection. So a couple items that you could buy that stood out to me. If you are like me, because what my plan was yesterday to get onto the pre-sale was to buy 1 of each scent so that I could come back next week and tell you all about them. But like I said, you could only get the 1. But on there, you could buy a 7-piece mini fragrance sampler. So I wouldn't have to buy them all individually. And these are going to be the body mist, and that is $54.95 to get 1 of each. I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
The next one that I thought was interesting was this light up castle pedestal. This castle holds the 3 wick candles, which are one of their biggest sellers at Bath & Body Works. But did you see the price on this? It is $125 for a candle holder.
Wow. But it's a light up candle holder, right? Like, of course.
I mean, did the lights justify the price?
I'm trying here. I'm trying to justify the price point. That 120? Is that what you said?
125.
Okay.
I don't know, but if that's a little rich for your blood, you can get the light up hand sanitizer holder for $14.95, and it's also the castle.
All right, and there's also a part of me that's going, wait a minute, a 3-wick candle, isn't that going to burn faster? Don't I need to buy more candles?
No clue. But the biggest surprise to me was this backpack. They have a Disney Princess backpack for $69.95, and that has nothing to do with anything that Bath & Body Works sells.
This is an interesting product rollout. Between your issues trying to buy things, at the pre-sale and then them limiting you, and now the price points. I'm going to be intrigued to hear what people have to say about this on the other side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will tell you, I'm very, very excited for the new scent. And I will be buying at least one of everything to sniff them all and bring you back my thoughts. And I will collect some information on what the internet thinks as well. But overall, again, Valentine's Day around the corner, stoked this is coming out. All right. So moving on to things that we're stoked about. Josh Tomorrow gave us a little love and came out and was saying, where he believes that the future of Disney is. So, and then he says this is where he's placing his strategic bets. And the reason I'm bringing it up on this podcast is because it is merch adjacent, I would say. He mentioned that his focus is clear on immersive experiences, digital expansion, and a deeper integration between parks, retail, and gaming. So, what does that mean? That's a lot of word soup here.
Well, face it, we have, coming up, for example, in Walt Disney World, we have, Piston Peak, our Cars-themed area, which, by the way, later this year, in fact, this was another thing that License Global brought up this week, this is the 20th anniversary of the launch of the Cars franchise back in June of 1995. And so, the notion is going forward, given that we have a brand new land being built at Walt Disney World that's built around the Cars franchise, the notion is, okay, so how do we support that? Obviously we're looking for, retail opportunities there in the land, but at the same time, are we doing everything we can to make people aware that, this is soon to become a part of the Magic Kingdom in Florida? In fact, I was hearing from friends at Pixar that there may in fact be a Piston Peak short used to introduce the land that'll roll out ahead of this.
I mean, that all makes sense. And it's bringing all those things together, connecting the dots. And, another thing he was talking about was we've talked on the show about Epic Games and Fortnite and building this Disney universe inside of Fortnite as a long-term investment. But what I thought was fascinating is that he says that the physical parks and digital platforms are no longer separate lanes, bringing that all together. And he basically goes on to say that the future growth depends on blending the theme park experience online worlds and consumer products into one connected strategy or experience. And my question for you is, just you listening to those words that I just said, does that not sound like the playbook that Universal is working off of with the Pokemon experience or theme park that's coming?
Oh, very much so. And supposedly what's interesting about this is that Disney is looking for an in-park experience that can be largely powered by your phone, which you can then bring home and, supposedly from your phone, load onto your laptop. And, a friend was explaining to me about, they've been prototyping, for example, you would go on the Haunted Mansion and effectively, remember the notion that a ghost will follow you home? Well, what if you could select the ghost that you wanted to have follow you home? And then, you could have it on your phone, something to show friends and family, or something you could then throw, on your computer. And more to the point, if you return to the park in the future, what if you could bring another ghost home and build your own, it would take you a while to get to 999 happy haunts, but you get the idea.
Right, but then it's like, well, how does the retail piece come into that? Like, could you get something either physical or virtual that would have your ghost on it? Like, it's like a collector mentality, like, because it's all fine and good to give people those experiences, but they want your money.
They do. But also remember, we live in a Temu world now, and the notion... Well, I mean, just the notion that, you think about people who buy, a T-shirt because it's a ridiculously low price at Temu and it's cute. So the notion is that what if you captured, your ghost but you wanted to do, show the world that, I captured a ghost at the Haunted Mansion at Walt Disney World. And then, it's then the question of, well, could we set something up there on site that would allow us to print something that quickly that, the guest during their day in the park, say a 2, 3, 4 hour window of I had this experience and now I can go pick it up. We're in that space right now. But at the same time, it then becomes the, what's the price point and what's the turnaround time? And, face it, when people are at Walt Disney World, they're on vacation. And the notion of, I even have to wait 3 and 4 hours for something. No, I'm not going to do it.
I mean, it all makes sense. And then, so bringing this kind of full circle here with Josh's comments, he was saying that Disney's competitive edge around experimental storytelling, arguing that live in-person experiences and interactive digital spaces are less vulnerable to disruption than traditional media distribution models. And I mean, like, I don't know if you saw the what was his name? Graham Bensinger. He did a really long, in-depth interview with Michael Eisner, and they were talking about the future of, movie theaters as a part of the interview. Like, do you think Josh is saying that the traditional distribution model is changing and they need to hedge their bets on things that won't be as easy to disrupt?
Oh, very much so. I mean, and let's face it, there were so many people in the industry right now who are doing the exact same thing. In fact, next month, when yourself and I and Eric are headed to Las Vegas, one of the things we're planning on doing with you and the kids is, going to the Sphere to check out The Wizard of Oz there. Because think about it, that's a movie that was made in 1939. And now people are paying what, $150, a ticket to see a movie that they have seen dozens of times for free, but is a brand new experience that, that surrounds them and has physical effects in the theater and that sort of thing. And the notion is that, Disney is one of these other studios that has films like The Wizard of Oz that are generational, that people love. And the notion is, all right, could we do something similar? And it is worth noting that you did see the announcement about the second sphere that's going to be built along the shores of the Potomac. It's going to be smaller, but there's going to be a second venue for this type of entertainment. And there have been persistent stories that Disney, out ahead of next year, which remembers the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, that they're prepping something special, and the notion is that this may be what follows The Wizard of Oz into the spheres, to the effect of turning A New Hope into that sort of can only happen in one place, when the second one's built, only happen in two places, that sort of in-person immersive storytelling of, having Star Wars happen right in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, it all makes perfect sense. And so just with this interview in general, it looks like the pillars for them is they're going to try to figure out how to, make that Disney universe within a fortnight to reach those people. The focus experience-based retail and that ginormous global park investment, like that is what they're working towards. And it sounds like a good strategy to me. And I'm excited to see what they're going to come up with. Because, I think it's good to, change leadership for fresh ideas, fresh perspective. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this actually is when it comes to fruition.
Absolutely. Okay, so folks, that's going to wrap up the news portion of this week's I Want That Too. But when we get back from the break, we have, this kind of, the story jumps off from kind of a personal story, what Lauren decided to get for Eric for Valentine's Day this year. And but we'll explain more in a sec. But first, this.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
And we're back. And again, reminder, folks, Lorna and I are recording this on Friday, February 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. And, Lauren, you did something very, very sweet for your husband today, or out ahead of Valentine's Day, got him something that, you two had just discovered online this week. Do you want to talk about what you saw on YouTube?
Yeah, I actually, as I'm thinking about it, I think we were looking at like Instagram Reels. And as we do in our household, sometimes when there's nothing on TV to watch, I'll do the screen share from my phone and he and I will just sit on the couch and watch Reels. And my algorithm is all Disney, like it's past, present, whatever. And this commercial for this 1988 Town Square Center came up and he was like, stop. Like, is this real? Like, I need to know more. And so immediately he Googled it and it is indeed a thing. And he's like, oh my gosh, we have to ask Jim about this. And so that gets us to today.
Well, and again, one of the reasons you ask, somebody like me about this is I'm old. All right. I was actually physically around in 88, 89 when these ads showed up on television. And this was something done not only by Sears, but it was a Sears exclusive. In fact, if you got a copy of the Wish book, that's the Sears catalog back in the day, this is how this was described. Bring home a piece of the magic with this Disney World Town Square replica. This is a exclusive Sears offering through our Disney Magic collection. Now, this 40-inch wide by 40-inch deep by 18-inch tall starter set. And by the way, Lauren, I want to stop right here and ask you to note the word starter set, because we're going to circle back around that in today's show.
Oh, okay. Starter set.
Okay, because depending on how deep your pockets were back in the 1990s, this Disney World Town Square replica could get very elaborate very quickly. Okay, so back to the starter set. This replica of the Town Square area at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World Resort lays out on a fiberboard sheet. It comes with three-dimensional versions of buildings from that theme park, among them Town Hall, the Emporium, the Fire Station, the Camera Store, the Chapeau Shop, the Post Office, Tony's Town Square Cafe, and the Car Barn. Each of these buildings is done in the true architectural style of the Magic Kingdom at Florida, and the interior of each of these Town Square replica buildings includes a play situation, which, Lauren, I had no idea what a play situation was. I had to look into this. It turns out there's an area inside of each building where kids could then play with their action figures. So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now the actual outdoors part of the Town Square replica includes a grassy area with trees, park benches, and sidewalks, not to mention decorative fences to go around the grassy areas, 6 non-working streetlights, and it also comes with a colorful backdrop of Cinderella Castle and 2.5-inch tall figures, one of Mickey and one of Minnie Mouse, which, by the way, bend at the knees and bend at the waist, so they can sit on the park benches.
So they're tall.
There we go. Let's see. Beyond that, this set is imported. It's made out of plastic and heavy-duty fiberboard. It's for ages 4 and up.
So Eric is and up.
There we go. All right. Some assembly required. It weighs 4 pounds and 5 ounces. And back when Sears first introduced this Town Square replica as part of their Disney Magic collection, it retailed for $40. And if we go to the inflation calculator, Lauren, a toy that cost $40 back in December of 1988 would today cost $107. So, trifle pricey.
But it looks really big, though.
It is. It is. And you'd think, given the number of Disney fans on the planet, would have been popular. But here's the thing, Lauren. If we now go to the 1989 edition of the Sears Wish book, the very same Town Square replica from the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World Resort is now selling for 50% off. It's $20 rather than $40, and then that's $51 with the inflation calculator. So what happened here? Our story starts November of 1987, which is when the Sears Roebuck Company signs a new, far-reaching deal with the Walt Disney Company. Lauren, at this point, Disney and Sears have been in business together for decades. In fact, the very first Disney product that was offered in the Sears catalog was actually the Mickey Mouse watch that the Ingersoll Company from Waterbury, Connecticut made. This was back in 1933, and depending on whether you got the watch on sale, it was $2.75 or $3.75. And again, inflation calculation, that's the 2026 equivalent of $69 versus $94. By the way, Disney and Sears, they get serious of working together in 1965. This is when they forged a 30-year-long deal that gave Sears an exclusive license to various Winnie the Pooh-related items. And by the way, we've discussed this at length on a recent Disney Unpacked, our Patreon project. But when Michael Eisner comes on board as the Mouse House's new big cheese in September of '84, Well, he wants Disney to revisit this Largo licensing agreement with Sears. He feels that this now 20-year-old agreement is weighted too heavily in Sears' favor, and that he believes a renegotiation is in order. And Lauren, I have to say, given that Sears had sold $1 billion worth of Winnie the Pooh merch between 1970 and 1980, they were reluctant to.
I was going to say they're not going to like that.
They're not going to like that. They don't want to do anything to upset the status quo. And never mind the fact that there's still a full decade to go on the deal. So it's like, why would we negotiate? But this is when Disney put something interesting on the table. The consumer products side of Disney goes to Sears and says, well, what if we set up in every Sears in North America? And by the way, at this point, Lauren, there are 832 of these things all over North America. Said, what if we set up inside of the physical Sears store a store within a store, a Magic Kingdom shop, which would then, not just sell Winnie the Pooh merch, but for example, we would sell merchandise from our brand new, soon to be released at theaters, Oliver and Company, or Roger Rabbit, or better yet, we would sell toys based on Disneyland and Disney World. And like, for example, say a toy set that is a replica of Town Square at the Magic Kingdom. And Sears is like, ooh, all right. It's just, so we have Winnie the Pooh and all of this other stuff. And it was one of these things where it's like, wow, I can't see a downside to this. It's like, okay, it's a deal. So November 1987, they sign a new 10-year deal that supersedes the deal that Disney and Sears signed back in 1965. And the other thing that, to be honest, Lauren, thrills the folks at Sears is they're also going to get representation in the Disney theme parks, because one of the things that was included as part of the deal is that they were going to get to be the sponsor of the big attraction at Disney MGM. They were going to be the sponsor of great moments at the movies. So it was all wonderful until it wasn't.
That's typically how the story goes, right?
There we go. And we'll explain how this deal went sideways in a moment. But first, this. And we're back. Okay, so we were discussing this Disney World Town Square replica, which again, Lauren got for her lovely husband, Eric, as a Valentine's Day present. Do you found this on eBay? Where did you find it?
Yes, I found it on eBay, and it's in the original box with all the parts.
Okay, now.
But yes, eBay.
Right.
And it looks like it's old.
All right, now, I again, want to stress, starter set, that's what you're getting with this box. Also, we talked about the ages 4 and up, and it said some assembly required. I don't know if you saw the fine print in there that says that, typically takes 5 to 6 hours.
What?
Yes.
There's a lot of parts, and I will say, Jim, I did buy the box of the characters separate. So, like, it had Winnie the Pooh and Mickey and Minnie. Like, so they did not come as in the set.
they did not. In fact, what Lauren is referring to is that, again, you start with the starter set, but again, depending on what you want on your town square, this can get interesting really fast. Like, for example, we were talking about that play situation, the interior of the stores there and restaurants on Main Street. Well, the nice folks at Sears would sell you interior furniture for all of the buildings. And this included 3 counters with cash registers, bookshelves, tables, a fast food setup. Back in the day, that'd cost you $9. By the way, did you also see when you were looking at eBay that the trolley car that you can put in town square. And by the way, it has a horse and a streetcar conductor, 7.5 inches long. Did you see this when you were looking?
I did. And I mean, I saw that they sold the Taurus separately. Did you see those
There we
guys?
go. Yes. Yes, there are, in fact, the one that I love is there's a family of four, a mom, a son and a daughter and a dad, but dad's wearing mouse ears. There's also another set where it's a mom pushing a stroller, but there are balloons tied to the stroller. In addition to that, you can also get, you can get a railroad engineer. You can get a official Disney tour guide, in addition to even more tourists to put on your street. But what Lauren was also referring to there was that there are also the walk-around characters for the park. I want to say there's one set, and in fact, this was very controversial back in the day, Lauren. It's Snow White and some of her dwarves.
Some dwarves.
3 dwarves to be exact. There's Doc, there's Sneezy, and then there's Grumpy. Why Happy, Sleepy, Dopey, and Bashful didn't make the cut. I don't know what to tell you, but they didn't make it. Likewise, there's another set what was it? The 4 for that set are Cinderella, Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, and Eeyore.
That's the one I got. I just pulled it up on eBay. And there's a sticker on the front of the ones that I got that says Sears. It's either $2.97 or $2.97 for Pooh, Cinderella, Tigger, and Eeyore.
And we're going to get to why that was discounted in a moment. All right. By the way, depending on how authentic you wanted this to be, Sears would sell you 6 working streetlights to replace those non-working streetlights, and 9 feet of electrical cord to set them up around the land. There was also a train, a replica of the train that rolled around the park. That would cost you $50, but it included just enough track to do an oval around this set. And it had a train that what is it? It had a headlight that worked. It had a bell that rang. It even had a smokestack that blew smoke. And then remember, you have at the end of your street, you have a backdrop of Cinderella Castle. You could buy a music box that was dressed up to look like the stage in front of Cinderella Castle. So you'd have some place for your little Disney, walk-around characters to perform.
Jim, this thing is getting huge. Where are we putting this?
Well, see, now that's the thing, all right? This was big. And if you wanted to really have the full Disney experience, this is close to $200, in 1988 money. And the kicker, Lauren, is that you could actually also buy a Christmas tree and a set of carolers, so you could make this even part of your holiday setup at the house. That's how thorough Sears was about this. So I'm just saying that, if you and Eric decide to go authentic here, you could spend the next couple of years at collectible shows and on eBay, chasing a lot of stuff.
Thanks, Instagram scroll hole. I didn't know I was signing up for this big of a commitment.
So, well, there you go. Just tell Miles so he can, to watch his college fund slowly depreciate. Anyway, we talked earlier in today's show about how from 1988 to 1989, we saw the price of these things drop by 50%. And Lauren just mentioned how, there's a sticker on the box of her set of 4 walk-around figures for the park. Originally went for $7, was then cut in half. In fact, in the wish book for $89, you could get the set for $350. And you mentioned you got, there's a price sticker on this for $2, right?
Yeah, $2.95. This is what the sticker said.
Okay. So what happened? Okay. Well, to be realistic, 2 years into this brand new 10-year deal, Disney and Sears Roebuck have a serious falling out. And remember, they signed the initial deal in November of 1987. And with the understanding that in all 832 of their physical stores around North America, there's going to be a Magic Kingdom store, a place that's going to sell Disney merch. And that's the only place at the mall you can get, this really cool Disney merch. But Lauren, what else debuts in 1987? The Disney Store.
Oh, I feel like I know where this is going.
There we go. The very first Disney Store opens in the Glendale Galleria, March of 1987. So, and by the way, Lauren, I know you're going to ask. Yes, the Glendale Galleria had a Sears. In fact, it was in operation to as recently as March of 2020. And initially, the executives up in the Sears Tower in Chicago aren't all that concerned about the Disney Store because they're being told by the people at Disney Consumer Products, it's the thing in the Glendale Galleria, it's just an experiment. It's an idea that Eisner wants us to explore. Don't pay any mind to it. It won't be any serious competition for the Magic Kingdom stores within the stores. Don't worry about it. But Lauren, by the end of 1987, there's not just one Disney store. There are three. Second one opens in San Francisco out on Pier 39 in August of that same year. Third one opens at the South Coast Plaza in Costa Mesa, California, November of 87. Again, not to put too fine a point on it, that's the same month that Sears signs the new deal with Disney. And if we now jump ahead a year, Lauren, there are 13 Disney stores. And they're no longer just in California. For example, there's the first that was built on the East Coast in Bridgewater, New Jersey. And then I remember very clearly when the first opened in my neck of the woods in Burlington, Massachusetts. And Lauren, the bulk of these 13 stores were all built in malls that had Sears, who all, by the way, already had Magic Kingdom store within a store set up within them. And they were genuinely ticked off because they were told we had an exclusive on this stuff, and now we have competition from Disney itself. So Sears, to retaliate, cancels all orders for replacement stock for these in-store Magic Kingdom stores. Not only that, they slash the prices of all of the Disney-related merch that they are offering customers in their 832 physical stores. And that's also included in the 1989 version of the Sears Wish Book. And in short, Lauren, what Sears is doing here is it's burning its bridges as far as the Walt Disney Company is concerned.
So dumb, Sears.
Well, but at the same time, when you entered into an arrangement to have an exclusive at the mall and then Disney starts opening Disney stores.
Listen, I'm not saying Disney was right, but do you want to burn the bridge with Disney?
Well, Sears saw this as a betrayal on Disney's part. And in fact, so much of a betrayal that less than 6 months prior to Disney MGM opening, they put Disney on notice. Oh, by the way, we're not sponsoring your stupid great movie ride anymore. That's how angry they were. And they just dumped, all of this merch. So I'm just going to say this might make it a little harder for you and Eric to get a complete collection of the town square replica stuff. Everything from the trolley car with the conductor and the horse. Because it got scattered to the four winds. But on the other hand, the fact that you've already got one box of it with the lower price on it. I mean, you literally confirmed my story for me today. That's great. And by the way, there's another part of the story that we probably should save for the holiday season, because there is this absolutely beautiful ceramic set of the buildings from Main Street, USA for Disneyland. That was created as, well, basically something, again, same thing, set up to be under your Christmas tree or on your mantle for the holiday season. And this was produced at the same time as the toy replica that, obviously this was aimed at adults rather than kids. And the same thing, when Sears got mad and dumped all of the stock, same thing, it got scattered to the four winds.
So you're saying I can go on eBay and get a deal?
Well, I mean, it's just what's interesting. I was looking just today. These pieces back in 1988 went for $24 a piece, and I was seeing them. And again, this is 2026. Decades after they first hit the market, I was seeing some of these pieces for $9 or $10 a piece, and they're lovely. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll circle back to the story idea for the holiday season.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim, for making Eric's Valentine's wish come true that he didn't even know is happening. He will probably find out by listening to the recording of this show. Surprise, because his set's not coming till, it says the seller's out of town, so it's going to be like a week or so. But anyways, thank you for doing the story, and I'm sure you will be thrilled. But on that note, I think that it is time that we close up shop for today, sir.
And by the way, folks, if you want to keep up with everything that's happening across the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network, please follow us on social. And don't forget to check out our Patreon for bonus shows and early access.
Yes, and if you have a question or an idea, we absolutely love to hear from you. Shoot us a message. Jim can be found at jim@jimhillmedia.com. I'm at lauren@laurenhersey.com.
Oh, and if you like the show, leave us a quick review or a rating. It helps other Disney fans find I Want That Too.
All right, Jim, that does it for today's episode. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on I Want That Too.